Hi everyone, this is Nupur Joshi, Research Scholar, Galgotias University, Division of Forensic Science. I'll be dealing with the topic classification of drugs, opium, barbiturates, cannabis, cocaine, LSD and NDPS Act. So, this module contains description about the classification of drugs, their nature and effects on the human beings. This knowledge is forensically important to enforce law in crimes. Drug abuse is a key element. Now, definition of drug. A drug can be defined as a natural or synthetic substance that is used to produce physiological or psychological effects in humans or other higher order animals. However, with the differential effects from use and abuse of drugs to some may be as a necessity for sustaining and prolonging life to others. Drugs provide an escape from the pressures of life. To still others, they are a means of ending it. Now, classification of drugs. Drugs are classified in many ways on the basis of their usage, pharmacological action, etc. These categories help to understand better about the drug consumed based on their behavior, appearance, effects, etc. Understanding how different classes of the drugs can affect individuals helps law enforcement. Officers react to control and question suspects in drug related cases. What are narcotic drugs? The term narcotic is derived from the Greek word narkotikos, which implies a state of lethargy or sluggishness. As per pharmacological definition, narcotic drugs are analgesic substances that bring relief from pain and produce sleep by depressing the central nervous system. However, the regular use of a narcotic drug leads to physical dependence with all of its dire consequences. The source of most narcotics is opium, a gummy milky juice exuded through a cut made in the unripe pod of the poppy, that is Papaver somniferum, a plant grown mostly in parts of Asia. Opium is brownish in color and has a morphine content ranging from 4 to 21%. Morphine is then used to produce its derivative, heroin, which is the most commonly used drug by the addicts. Now, heroin. Heroin is one of the most recognized and widely abused drugs. The correct chemical nomenclature for heroin is O3-O-diacetyl morphine. The Golden Triangle areas of Burma, China and Laos are the three major source countries in part of the world for the production of illicit opium. The process of heroin production involves the following steps. The opium poppy is cultivated. Next, the poppy head is scored and the opium latex is collected. Next, isolation of morphine from the latex. Next, treating morphine with an acetylating agent such as acetic anhydride. Acetylation of morphine to diacetyl morphine, that is heroin, involves placing dried morphine into a reaction vessel and adding excess acetic anhydride. The mixture is heated to boiling and stirred for various periods of time ranging from 30 minutes to 3 to 4 hours. The vessel and its contents are cooled and diluted in cold water. A sodium carbonate solution is then added until precipitation of the heroin base is complete and settles to the bottom of the reaction vessel. The heroin base is then either filtered or dried or undergoes further processing to enhance the purity or to convert the base to heroin. A form of heroin known as brown sugar is commonly used in the country, which is made up of mixture of heroin, which typically ranges between 20 to 60% purity, and adulterants in the form of chalk, zinc or other chemicals. Due to cheap price and easy availability, this drug is very popular in India among wide variety of people. Due to less purity and toxic adulterants present, there are serious adverse effects from taking this drug. There is another class of narcotic drugs which are not naturally derived from opium. However, because they have similar physiological effects on the body as the opium narcotics, they are commonly called as opiates. OxyContin is one such synthetic opiates which was previously approved as painkiller by the US Food and Drug Administration in 1995. The active ingredient in OxyContin is oxycodone, a synthetic closely related to morphine and heroin in its chemical structure. Methadone is another well-known synthetic opiate which is used to eliminate the addict's desire for heroin while producing minimal side effects. Another class of drugs are stimulants. As the name suggests, stimulants increase alertness, attention and energy as well as elevate blood pressure, heart rate and respiration. Stimulants are sometimes called uppers. The most commonly used street drugs that fall into this category are cocaine and amphetamines. Cocaine is one of the alkaloidal substances extracted from the leaves of the plant Erythroxylon coca. Coca plant grown in tropical Asia and the Andes mountain of South America. While cultivated in many countries, Peru and Bolivia are the world's leading producers of the coca plant. Cocaine is present in the coca leaves from these countries at dry weight concentrations from 0.1 to 0.%. The average concentration of cocaine in the leaf is 0.7%. At one time, cocaine had wide medicinal application as a local painkiller or anesthetic. However, this function has now been largely replaced by other drugs, primarily cocaine and lidocaine. Being a powerful stimulant, its effects include increased alertness and vigor accompanied by the suppression of hunger, fatigue and boredom. Most commonly, cocaine is sniffed or snorted and is absorbed into the body through the mucous membranes of the nose. The method of isolating cocaine from the coca leaf does not require a very high degree of technical expertise or experience. All of the known production techniques involve three primary steps. First, extraction of crude coca paste from the coca leaf. Next, the purification of coca paste to cocaine base and conversion of cocaine base to cocaine hydrochloride. One form of cocaine that has gained widespread popularity in the drug culture is known as crack. Crack is freebase cocaine and is sufficiently volatile to be smoked, usually in glass pipes. Crack, like cocaine, produces a feeling of euphoria, a feeling of increased energy, of being mentally more alert, of feeling really good. However, euphoria fades quickly as cocaine leaves drop, leaving the user feeling depressed, anxious, pleasureless. While there is no evidence of physical dependency accompanying cocaine's repeated use, cocaine produces the strongest psychological compulsions for continued use. Amphetamines. Amphetamines are another group of synthetic drugs that stimulate the central nervous system. They are commonly referred to in the terminology of the drug culture as uppers or speed. India is a key producer of precursor chemicals for methamphetamine, which includes ephedrine and chemicals that are used in the processing. Ordinarily, therapeutic doses of 5 to 20 milligrams per day taken orally provide a feeling of well-being and increased alertness that is followed by a decrease in fatigue and a loss of appetite. However, these apparent benefits of the drug are accompanied by restlessness and instability or oppression, and once the stimulant effect wears off, depression may set in. Methamphetamine use is linked to many serious physical and mental health concerns including violence, paranoia, insomnia and organ damage and brain damage as well. Not only are they highly addictive, but their use can damage motor skills, response times, problem solving skills and cause sexual dysfunctioning. A new smokable form of methamphetamine known as ice is reportedly in heavy demand in some countries. Ice is prepared by slow evaporation of a methamphetamine solution to produce large crystal clear rocks. Like crack cocaine, ice is smoked and produces effects similar to those of crack cocaine, but the effects last for a longer period of time. Once the effects of ice wear off, users often become depressed and may sleep for days. Repeated use of amphetamines leads to a very strong psychological dependency which encourages their continued administration. Another class of drugs are depressants. A depressant or central depressant is a drug that lowers neurotransmission levels, which is to depress or reduce arousal or stimulation in various areas of the brain. Depressants are also occasionally referred to as downers as they lower the level of arousal when taken. Depressants are widely used throughout the world as prescription medicines and as illicit substances, for example, barbiturates. Now, what are barbiturates? Barbiturates create a feeling of well-being and produces sleep to the individual. Like alcohol, barbiturates suppresses the vital functions of the central nervous system. Collectively, barbiturates can be described as derivatives of barbituric acid, which was first synthesized by a German chemist, Adolf Wohl-Bayer, more than 100 years ago. 25 barbiturate derivatives are currently used in medical practices in United States. However, 5 amobarbital, secobarbital, phenobarbital, pentobarbital and butabarbital tend to be used for most medical applications. Slang terms for barbs usually stem from the color of the capsule or tablet, for example, yellow jackets, blue devils and reds. Normally, barbiturate users take these drugs orally. The average sedative dose is about 10 to 70 milligrams. When taken in this fashion, the drug enters the blood through the walls of the small intestine. Some barbiturates such as phenobarbital are absorbed more slowly than others and are therefore classified as long-acting barbiturates. Undoubtedly, the slow action of phenobarbital accounts for its low incidence of abuse. Apparently, barbiturate abusers prefer the faster acting ones, the secobarbital and the pentobarbital and the amobarbital. When taken in prescribed amounts, barbiturates are relatively safe, but in instance of extensive and prolonged use, physical dependency may develop. Hallucinogens. Further, these are group of drugs that can cause marked alterations in mood, attitude, thought processes and perceptions. These are called hallucinogens. Perhaps the most popular and controversial member of this class of drugs is the marijuana. Marijuana is a preparation derived from the plant cannabis. Cannabis is an incredibly popular and widely used drug in India and is known as ganja, charas or bhang. It is a weed that grows wild under most climatic conditions. The plant grows to a height of 5 to 15 feet and is characterized by an odd number of leaflets on each leaf. Normally, each leaf contains 5 to 9 leaflets, all having serrated or saw-toothed edges. The marijuana preparation normally consists of crushed leaves mixed in varying proportions with the plant's flower, stem and seed. The plant secretes a sticky resin known as hashish. The resinous material can also be extracted from the plant by soaking in a solvent such as alcohol. On the illicit drug market, hashish usually appears in the form of compressed vegetation containing a high percentage of resin. In 1964, scientists isolated the chemical substance largely responsible for the hallucinogenic properties of marijuana. This substance is known as the THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. The THC content of cannabis varies in different parts of the plant, generally decreasing in the following sequence: resin, flowers and leaves. Little THC is found in the stem, roots or seeds. The potency and resulting effects of the drug fluctuate depending on the relative proportion of these plant parts in the marijuana mixture. No current evidence suggests that experimental or intermittent use causes physical or psychological harm. Marijuana does not cause physical dependency. However, the risk of harm lies instead in heavy long-term use of the drug, particularly of the more potent preparations. Heavy users can develop a strong psychological dependence on the drug. Some effects of marijuana use include increased heart rate, dry mouth, reddened eyes, impaired motor skills and concentration, and frequently hunger and an increased desire for sweets. LSD. LSD is synthesized from lysergic acid, a substance derived from ergot, which is a type of fungus that attacks certain grasses and grains. Its hallucinogenic effects were first described by the Swiss chemist Alban Hofmann after he accidentally ingested some of the material in his laboratory in 1943. The drug is very potent, as little as 25 micrograms is enough to start vivid visual hallucinations that can last for about 12 hours. The drug also produces marked changes in mood, leading to laughing or crying at the slightest provocation. The Drug Control Law in India, Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances, NDPS Act 1985. Elements of NDPS Act. The NDPS Act 1985 sets out the statutory framework for drug law enforcement in India. The NDPS Act is in effect a comprehensive code not only for the control and regulation of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, but also for the control of selected chemicals commonly known as the precursors, which can be used in the illicit manufacture of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, as well as for the investigation and forfeiture of drug related assets. NDPS Act prohibits cultivation, production, manufacture, possession, sale, purchase, transportation, warehousing, consumption, interstate movement, shipment and import and export of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, except for medical or scientific purposes and in accordance with the terms and conditions of any license, permit or authorization given by the government. The central government is empowered to regulate the cultivation, production, manufacture, import, export, sale, consumption, use, etc. of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. State governments are empowered to permit and regulate the possession and interstate movement of opium, poppy straw, the manufacture of medicinal opium, the cultivation of cannabis, excluding hashish. All persons in India are prohibited from engaging in or controlling any trade whereby narcotic drugs or psychotropic substances are obtained outside India and supplied to any person outside India except with the previous authorization of the central government and subject to such conditions as may be imposed by the central government. Assets derived from the drugs trafficking are liable to forfeiture. A number of agencies both at the centre and in the states have been empowered to enforce the provisions of the Act. These agencies include the Department of Customs and Central Excise, the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, the Central Bureau of Narcotics and the Central Bureau of Investigation at the central level, state police and excise departments at the state level. Investigative procedures. Chapter 5 of NDPS Act sets out the powers as well as procedures for the investigation of offences under the Act. This chapter empowers officers, either magistrates or specially designated gazetted officers of the central and state governments, duly authorized by the central government or a state government to issue warrants to enter and search premises, to stop and search conveyance, to seize narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, to take statements and to arrest persons suspected of having committed an offence punishable under the Act. Now coming to various laboratory techniques for identification of drugs. Any forensic lab should be equipped with reagents and instruments to analyze the identification of drug. The task of a drug analyst is very crucial, knowing that the drugs in markets are highly variable. This is made further complex by newly developing drugs which are modifications of already known drugs. These drugs are designed to confer difficulty in their identification in the laboratories. To perform drug identification, the analyst must employ a series of tests which range from screening, that is preliminary or non-specific, to confirmatory or specific test. The screening tests reduce the possibilities for a definite group of drugs to a small and manageable number. These tests are considered important in case of negative result, and so their value lies in having excluded certain drugs from further consideration. Once the number of possibilities is substantially reduced, the second phase of the analysis is conducted, which is confirming the drug's identity. This consists of confirmatory test that identifies a substance. The analytical scheme sometimes consists of a series of non-specific or presumptive tests followed by the confirmatory test. Forensic chemists normally rely on several tests for a routine drug identification scheme: color test, microcrystalline test, chromatography, spectrophotometry and mass spectrometry. Color tests. This consists of subjecting the sample to a series of color tests that produces characteristic colors when brought into the contact with specific chemical reagents. For example, Marquis reagent turns purple in the presence of heroin and morphine and most opium derivatives. Marquis also becomes orange brown when mixed with amphetamines and methamphetamines. Not only do these tests provide a useful indicator of a drug's presence, but they are also used by investigators in the field to examine materials suspected of containing a drug. Microcrystalline test, a technique considerably more specific than color test, is this test. In this test, a drop of the reagent is added to a small quantity of the sample of drug on a microscopic slide. After a short time, a chemical reaction ensues, producing a crystalline precipitate. The size and shape of the crystals under microscopic examination are highly characteristic of the drug. These tests are rapid and often do not require the isolation of a drug from its dilutants. However, because dilutants are sometimes altered or modify the shape of the crystal, the examiner must develop experience in interpreting the results of the test. Chromatography. Chromatography is a good method of choice of separation of components of a mixture. This technique separates mixture on the basis of their distribution between affinity for stationary liquid phase and a moving gas phase. Many compounds have a tendency to become closely associated with other compounds through attractive forces, while others do not. This attraction or tendency for association is often called affinity. Chromatography utilizes the differences in affinity of compounds for separation. Thin layer and gas chromatography are specially well suited to the needs of drug analysts because they separate drugs from their dilutants while providing for their tentative identification. TLC of drugs is used as a presumptive test to provide an indication of the nature of the drug under question. To perform TLC, the sample must first be dissolved in a solvent unless it is already in a liquid state, and then it can be spotted onto the TLC plate along with a known standard and run under a solvent system. It is useful for identification because many of the color change presumptive tests used will only provide an indication of a certain active group in the molecule. This variation produces visible differences as well as differences in RF, the retention factor value. RF value is the ratio of distance travelled by sample to distance travelled by solvent on the TLC plate. Since there can be some overlap of RF values and confusion in color judgment, TLC is considered as a presumptive test to inform further analysis rather than producing a definitive result on its own. In gas chromatography, separation is on the basis of affinity with phases called as mobile phase and the stationary phase. The mobile phase is nothing but a gas called the carrier gas, which flows through a column. The carrier gas is chemically inert and is generally nitrogen or helium. The stationary phase is a thin film of liquid within the column. Because chromatography requires comparison of RF values between question and known drugs, the analyst must have some clue to identify the illicit material before using these techniques. Hence, in a typical drug analysis, chromatography accompanies and complements color and crystal tests. Spectrophotometry. Selective absorption of UV and IR light by drugs provides a valuable technique for characterizing drugs. The ultraviolet spectrum is not conclusive for positive identification of a drug because other materials may very well produce an indistinguishable spectrum. Nevertheless, UV spectrophotometry is often a useful technique for establishing the probable identity of a drug. For example, if an unknown substance yields a UV spectrum that resembles that of amphetamine, thousands of substances are immediately eliminated from the consideration, and the analyst can begin to identify the material from a relatively smaller number of possibilities. The pattern of an infrared spectrum is unique for each compound and can thus serve as a fingerprint of the compound. The combination of preliminary screening test with the final verification by infrared spectrophotometry offers an ideal approach to drug identification. Unfortunately, the technique does present some problems because the substance to be identified must be as pure as possible. This requirement often necessitates lengthy purification steps to prepare the sample for IR analysis. For this purpose, GC is used initially to purify the drug from hindering components to produce a GC-IR spectra. Mass spectrometry. The technique of chromatography is particularly suited for analyzing illicit drugs because it can readily separate a drug from other substances that may be present in the drug preparations. Chromatography does, however, have the drawback of not being able to provide a specific identification of the material under investigation. This deficiency has been overcome by linking the gas chromatograph to a mass spectrometer to yield a powerful combination known as gas chromatography mass spectrometry, that is GCMS. As a sample emerges from the gas chromatograph, it immediately enters the mass spectrometer. In the mass spectrometer, the material enters a high vacuum chamber where a beam of high energy electrons is targeted at the sample molecules. The electrons collide with the molecules, causing them to lose electrons and to acquire a positive charge, commonly known as ions. These positively charged molecules or ions are very unstable or are formed with excess energy and almost instantaneously decomposes into numerous smaller fragments. The fragments then pass through an electric or magnetic field where they are separated according to their masses, generating a highly characteristic line pattern where each line represents a fragment of a different mass, actually the ratio of mass to charge, and the line height reflects the relative abundance of each fragment. The unique feature of mass spectrometry is that under carefully controlled conditions, no two substances produces the same fragmentation pattern. This generates a pattern like the fingerprint of that substance, which is unique with a few exceptions. With data obtained from a GCMS determination, a forensic analyst can with one instrument separate the components of a complex drug mixture and then unequivocally identify each substance present in that mixture. Summary: a drug can be defined as a natural or synthetic substance that is used to produce physiological or psychological effects in humans. Drugs are classified on the basis of their effects on humans. Narcotic drugs relieve pain by depressing the central nervous system and may cause physical dependence on their regular use. Each country has its federal laws to regulate and control drugs transport and abuse. In India, Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act, established in 1985, controls and regulates drugs in India. Whenever any question sample of drug is seized, it is sent to the laboratory for identification. Since unknown substances may any one of 1,000 of drugs, the analyst employs screening tests to reduce these possibilities to a small number. This is done by subjecting the samples to a series of color tests that produces characteristic colors for the more commonly encountered illicit drugs. So, I conclude by saying that there is a very thin line between the words drug and poison. and this thin line is decided by the term dosage. So, say no to drugs. Thank you.